Folks, this is going to be a tutorial video that I'm going to do for you. Just a bit of a project that I thought of trying. Basically, the thrustmaster t100, which is in pieces, I'll show you about in a second. It comes with paddle shift gears for up and down on the back. Now, what I was wanting to try and do was convert that to a more conventional sort of gear shift up and down, sort of not into gear, but up and down, forward, back, basically. So I'm going to do a series of videos of getting this together. Initially, just the sort of setup. Like I say, I don't even know right now if this is going to work, but we'll see how it goes. So this is just the setup. Obviously, the T100's there, pedals are separate, they're not going to be used for this. What I've been out and bought from Maplin, which is a UK electronics store, is a what it calls this here, a high power toggle switch momentary, which is the key bit, the momentary bit. As you can see, it's got off, on and on either side. It sits in the middle like that, and it's got one way, and can't do this one-handed, the other way. So it is going to be like up and down as it goes. I don't want this to, in case it does go wrong, be too invasive on the current wiring, so I have bought some Scotch locks, which are just a simple way of going into the current wiring loom. Some spade terminals, obviously, to go onto the toggle switch, and then some simple wire, which is actually a little bit thicker than what's currently on the thrustmaster. So yeah, the thrustmaster comes apart. The way of doing it, all I can suggest is you undo every screw you can find. The key ones is actually on the back of the wheel. There's one top, and on the underside as well, quite big screws. You undo those, and that allows it to pull away from the spindle. Again, I can't do it one-handed. You can see it's slightly away from it now. Also, there's a heck of a lot of screws on the underside. You can see the tops of the screws all dotted around. That allows this top plate, which normally sits on the top like so, to come off. There are the 4 screws there, which I thought were just for show. They do actually connect into the back there, so they need to come off as well. They're all Phillips head screws, so obviously you will need a Phillips head screwdriver. On the wheel, they are all on the back of it. Just spin around here. You've got the holes along the back. Now, I undid all the ones all the way along there, and then only afterwards realised it wasn't coming off, and it was getting to me why it wouldn't. But it turns out, you might just be able to see, if it focuses. There's one here, facing the wheel in the middle of the screen. Not the big hole at the bottom, the one facing it. There's a tiny screw in there as well, which allows it all to come apart. Now, if we'll just refocus, kind of. What I've come to, because what I needed to know is what wires come from the paddle shifters, because once you get the back off, it's not entirely obvious, because this long wire here goes off in through the spindle and out the middle there. Once it goes in here, it goes through some glue and just explodes into lots of wires. I was hoping maybe the motherboard would give me some help with all the different names it's got on it. Again, waiting for a focus, there we go, but they're all numbered. There's nothing too obvious. I mean, the only obvious one is over here. You've got just over here to pedal, you can just see in the middle of the screen. Yeah, so like I say, I have no idea if this is even going to work. But this is just an intro video because I didn't want to have to take it all apart once I'd done it. So yeah, that's that. My idea is to basically just get into these 2 here, wire them up to that toggle switch, plug it into the game, and see if it does work as an up and a down. Because then I will still be able to use this, but I'll also have the toggle switch as well. So yeah, wish me luck. I'll post another video once I've got somewhere. So got somewhere. Just basically just testing it first, so it's all in pieces still. Scotch locked 2 cables into the red and black wire, brought around and attached them to this toggle, and we're working. So this is effectively onto the downshift side. So if we go onto the screen, you can see in gear here. If I use the actual paddles, it's going down gear. I'll just put it back up. So back up to 6th gear again. Now if I use the toggle switch, I haven't really got enough wire to show you. Hopefully you can see it in the distance as I move it. Oh, it's the other way around. 5th, 4th, 3rd, and I haven't wired in up shifts yet. So yeah, that's basically how it is. So it's the black wire goes into the centre, the off position, red wire goes into the on position. So the opposite side will be middle and the left hand side. So yeah, I'll keep going and I'll do another update shortly. Okay, so another quick edit. I've completely changed the way I'm going to do this because as I said in the previous video, the hole in the middle is so tight. I did try using the shoelace, but still it didn't work. So what I've done is bought a lot smaller gauge wire because that's this size. I don't know if I can tell you the exact size, I'll look in a second. Because actually the wire that we're taking it from is that same size, so it's going to cause no issues as far as I can see. Also, it's very rigid. It holds its shape perfectly. So I've managed to feed it up through the hole, and it pops out the top here. I'm going to need to put 4 of them through. I'm pretty confident all 4 will fit through. But yeah, looking good. Just a few notes. Don't be tempted to undo these 3 screws which hold the actual paddle shifter on, because they're held. There is a spring behind it. You can get it back on, but it's quite hard to do. There's 2 springs, sort of quite a large one here and a smaller one here. The large one is held in by the smallest mount, which is really fiddly to put back on. So don't be tempted to do that, it doesn't help. I did it to see if there's any sort of plug or anything to make it easier here afterwards. But yeah, that's the update. Like I say, I'm going to feed 4 of these through there, see how that goes. My aim is basically to feed those 4 through and then connect these with the cable that I've already made ready at the back. So yeah, I'll get back to it. Okay, so we're nearly done now. Here's all the Scotch locks. There's just one left to do, which I've got the wire bare ready to do. You can see they all go on each side, so the upshifter is actually done now. Excuse my groggy voice. So it's these 2 here, the red wires. I mean, I should really probably got different coloured wires, but I ended up with all red. Both go there, connect to the 2 that go to the paddle shifter over here. Obviously go down through the spindle, through the back, and out the middle, so it won't cause any problems. Eventually I'm going to feed them probably under here and out the side, because I'm right-handed, so I'll put a rubber grommet in this side, feed them through to the switch. I have tested it, it is working. A few little notes as such. When I put these Scotch locks on, I've had to give them a bit of a sort of a joint backwards and forwards, just to make sure that the original cable is pierced, because at first it wasn't. Just with the simple closing of the Scotch locks, it wasn't closing against, sorry, it wasn't cutting through the original wire, even though they are quite thin. It wasn't quite doing it, so yeah, a little bit of movement just to make sure it does cut it. And that's that. So yeah, I'm going to get this last one put through, get all of the wiring together here, and probably give it a test and start thinking about putting it back together. Just a note, little bit bodge, but what I'm going to use for the gear shifter, I'm going to make a table mount similar to what they use on the t100, and this is actually a screwdriver head. I'm going to basically heat up the bottom of it to let it melt a little bit, get a bit soft, and then pop it onto the top of that, and that will be my gear shifter. Bit bodge, but it'll do the job. So yeah, I'll get on with it now and catch up in a bit. So we are done, and I've tested it off video, I must be honest, and it does work. Like I say, very basic. I'm going to end up Scotch locking it. I've just twisted the wires together, good old fashioned style at the moment, just to make sure it works. Something I didn't mention in the previous update, the reason I've gone with Scotch locks, you must make sure you position them as near to the centre as possible, because there isn't much room here, sorry about the bad light, because these are the plates, each side, you can see the smooth plates, each side of the shifters, so there's not a lot of room, but obviously in the middle there's a lot of room It's hard for you to get an idea of the depth. It's probably a good, perhaps 2 inches deep before you hit the base of the wheel, so that's definitely enough room for these Scotch locks to go in. But yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to show you it working at the same time. I'm just using the main menu as an example on Project Cars. You can see there I've written U and D for up and down, if I can get them in the same screen. Down and oh, it's not working on video. Why is that? I think one of the cables just come out. But yeah, it was working. I don't know if it's just gone loose. No, but it was. So I'm going to get it all properly wired up now and give you a full demo at the end. Okay, so last kind of update before I look at getting the actual shifter together. Call it bodge again, but they work. Deny it you can, but they work. Chocolate block, nice and easy. So the wires that come out of the spindle, chocolate block into there. Nice looking wires that will go to the shifter. I might get just one big sleeve over these, tidy it up nicely at the end. But yeah, so they come out of the back of the steering wheel here. I've actually put the wheel back together and tested it. It all goes back together nicely. So obviously all the connections are in the back of there. Off the pedals, goes through the centre and out of the hole there. Don't think I can put my torch on mid-video, but you can see the red wires. The red wire is what you're looking at. The black wire is what goes to the main motherboard. Circuit board, whatever. Red wires come out of there. I've fed them underneath the motor, which is actually a good place. You may struggle if you're left-handed. You'd probably put it around this side of the power supply and out. But I'm right-handed, so mine's going out this side. Like I say, I'll use the Dremel to make a hole here. Probably mount it somewhere underneath. But what I was going to say, sorry, it was under the motor. There is ample of room. And it's not going to get caught up because there's this big metal bracket here, so all of the moving parts of the motor is actually tucked safely away from the wires, or the wires are tucked safely away from the moving parts of the motor. So yeah, chocolate block will go in here and the wires will come out the side to the shifter. That's the next part of the project. Okay, so we're there. Just putting the wheel back together now. I thought I would show you a quick video showing you which screws you need to undo to get the wheel apart in the first place. So like I said, I have put a hole at the side of the wheel. Go and see the switch, which will eventually be the gear shifter. So the screws that you need to undo on the chassis are these 4 on top. I thought they were just for show, but they actually hold it down onto the top of the inside. Just those 4 there. On the underside, I haven't done any of these up yet. It's all of them that you can see apart from that one there and that one there. Those are the holes that the mount goes into, I believe. Can't remember quite right. But it's all the other ones. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 screws. On the wheel, it's all of the ones around the outside of the wheel. 1 there. There's 1 either side next to the gear shifter. 1 there. 1 there. And then also 1. You can't really see it, but in the top, facing the front of the wheel there, as well as the 1 top and bottom, 2 quite big fat screws, which you can see there. They're all plus head or Phillips head screws. So yeah, that's that part. We are there, believe it or not. It's literally taken sort of probably about 3 hours overall, but a lot of that was trial and error. Yes, you can laugh, I don't care. I used to use a workmate as my racing wheel setup thing. But yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the top or the handle of a screwdriver. That is a vice grip, but it works. So think what you will. So while I'm talking through this, I'm going to get free practice going on the game. What should we go with? Let's go one of my favourite cars to drive, Lotus 49. That's loading up. Yeah, so basically this has got holes in already. This vice has on the metal bar that's adjustable, which are underneath. There's two holes which are mainly there to mount onto setups you may have, cockpits and stuff. But I've screwed one of the ends of this into here, and like I said, this is adjustable. I've squeezed it so it's on there tight. That handle, like I said, I just removed it off a screwdriver and drilled it out, put in a raw plug, because the raw plug was the perfect size to go onto the toggle switch, and then with a bit of drilling and heating up, the raw plug goes inside, so it goes up quite a long way. Not really happy with the fact it turns, but that's because the actual toggle switch or knob is thinner at the bottom and thicker at the top. It's just that shape, so unless I glue it on in some ways, I don't know. This is a bit temporary. I'd like to do some more finished piece. So we'll leave the bits, but it's quite simple. It's up, down, and because of the you know, the height of this, it's not actually that hard to flick it up and down. Brake. I just remembered I haven't actually set up the wheel, done all the calibration and stuff. But that's that. So there we go. I mean, if I do that within the screen, I should be able to see it going up through the gears. And back down again. Yeah, there is the finished piece. It sits there. I'd like to have mounted it in some way, have it a bit further away because that's quite close to the wheel, but then I suppose you don't move your hand off the wheel too much. Like I said, the whole point of this as well is that the paddle shifters do still do their job as well, in case I wanted to go back to them for I don't know, Formula 1 or something. So that's it. Any questions, usual, just ask me in the comments. I do get back to you very quickly. I'm quite active on YouTube, and drop me a subscribe. I'll do lots more things like this if I can. Cheers guys, catch you later. I just thought I'd give you a quick demo of it in use. If I can zoom in a little bit. It's not great, I'm using a kid's seat to balance it on. So, sat here on Donington. Like I said, I've set it up just like an actual race car, so up is pulling towards you, down is pushing away from you, so let's give it a go. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, I've got my force feedback on setup I found on the Project Cars forums. You might notice it's quite a vicious one. You really do feel it over some rumble strips, but I quite like the fact you can really feel understeer. It doesn't help that I haven't really got it properly attached to this table and I've just lost it. So you can see it's working absolutely brilliantly. So, I mean, you saw there, you don't even need that much pressure on it. Literally, from a finger, you don't need to fully hold it. Same for braking, just push it away. Yeah, before you comment on that crap, it's been a while since I played this one anyway. And I've brought it on GT3. So there's a lap of Donington with the new up-down gear shifter that I've made from absolute scratch. As I said in the previous video, any questions, just ask. I hope I've covered everything for you in the best way that I can. But yeah, any questions, give us a shout.
Cheers guys, hope to see you online.